Welcome to another video in the New to Airliners series for the A310. This is going to be the quick start video. What are we trying to cover in today's video? Well, it's going to be trying to get yourself flying from A to B in the easiest way possible, as similar to, say, the already in use A320 in the base sim now. So we're going to cover how to plan the flight, how to set the flight up using the autocomplete system, and then we're going to have a look at the panel states options that we have built into the tablet as well. So let's get onto it and jump back into the world map and have a look how we plan our flights. Okay, so here we are on the world map. We're going to be planning our flight from Ibiza to Nice. So how do we do this? First of all, let's select our departure, Ibiza. That looks good. LEIB is the 4-letter code. So whereabouts from the airport do we want to be? If you remember, it's stand 25, so we set as our departure. Looks good. Now our arrival, we want it to be Nice. LFMN, that looks like the correct airport. So that looks good. Now we must make sure we have high altitude airways selected. This is what an airliner would normally use. The direct to GPS is used for light aircraft when you're flying under visual flight rules, which we're not going to be today. So, departures, we now need to select the type of instrument departure that we're going to fly. So, we are going to fly the K-Bear to Romeo. And how do we know which runway it's for? So can you see it says 06 and this one says 24, 06, 24. So this is for runway 06. So that looks good. And there we go, it's put it in. For the arrival, we're going to be using the Abla 7 Romeo. That is our arrival. And the ILS 04 left. So let's see if we can find that ILS 04 left. Here it is. So this is our complete route put in, okay? So how do we get this route into the A310? Because it's not going to work as you would normally use for, say, the included A320. The A310 is a true-to-life airliner and it will not just automatically load the route from here straight into your flight management computer. It's not going to do that. We need to do this manually. And we're going to look at two simpler options to do that today. So let's take a closer look at what this world map's trying to tell us. So can you see these waypoints here that are colored in orange? This is part of our standard instrument departure. The A310 can put these in automatically when we select it. So that's good. Let's continue on our routes. This part here, this is the standard arrival. We can also select this in the A310 and it will put all these waypoints in for us. And we can also select this part of the approach here. So the only bits that we need to worry about are these blue points in the middle. Now this is personal preference. This is a quick start video, and what I'm going to do is we're going to go direct from this point all the way to the approach. Now if you wish to be more realistic and you want to insert these waypoints, all you need to do is write them down, type them down, take screenshots, whatever is the simplest. Every single one of these waypoints can be inserted into the A310, but you have to do it manually. But to keep things simple today, we're just going to go straight from the departure, straight to the arrival here. So this is going to be a straight line, okay? And it will get you going. And to be honest, if you're not following the airways, this is going to work nearly anywhere in the world. You're just going to have a very big leg in the middle. It could be a super long, but it is still going to get you there, okay? So that's what we're going to do today. So let's get into the sim and see how we program that. Okay, so here we are back in the flight deck of the A310. So we're going to be using the checklist system. So we come up to the top, bring up the checklist, and we can see first checklist is the preliminary cockpit preparation. We're going to be using the autocomplete pages function. So this needs to be set on in your options menu, but once it's set on, you can simply click autocomplete page, and that's it. it will auto-complete the checklist for that phase of flight. Let's move on to the next one. This one, I'm going to click, but you'll see it causes a bit of sim slowdown as it's executing. This is because there's just simply so many items to try and execute. Once it's finished executing the checklist, it completely goes away. So sim slowdown will completely stop. It's going to stop itself at the very end on the APU start. You can see it's not quite autocomplete because it's starting the auxiliary power unit, which is the very small jet engine in the tail, which we use for air and also for electricity. So while that's starting, let's program the flight management computer. Okay, so we're at the flight management computer. First of all, we have to clear the messages. So we go down to the clear key, clear, clear, clear. That's all the messages gone. And now we click on the init page. Well, now we want to go from to. So we're going from LEIB to LFMN, like that. You can click either none or return. It's up to you. Next, we must click the align IRS. So we click this. Why do we have to press that? Well, what it does is that tells the flight management computer to calibrate itself on our current position. So if any of these messages come up, we can simply clear them. Cost index, if you know what it is, you can set whatever you want, but a good cost index is 40. If you don't know what it is, you can leave it at 0. That's also fine. Cruise flight level. This is how high we're going to fly on today's flight. Generally, if you want to go pretty heavy, 32,000 feet is okay. If we're medium weight like we are now, 36,000 feet will be absolutely fine. So we're going to put in 360 for 36,000. So that's gone in. And that's it for that page. We now move on to the flight plan page, which is here, FPL, flight plan. And we can see we have LEIB, LFMN. So we want to go, and there you can see the rest of the checklist completing itself. So we want to go from LEIB, so we click it on the left side via the standard instrument departure, which remember what we talked about on the world map, runway 06, K-Bear to Romeo. Those were the coloured sections that we had from the world map. And now we have to click insert. So we've got the correct departure from the correct runway, insert. Now we need to scroll to get to LFMN. We need to get to Nice. Now you might say to yourself, well, I want to go down the flight plan, so I'm going to press the down arrow. It doesn't quite work like that. With Airbus aircraft, this is the same for the A320, so if you're used to that, this won't be new to you. You press the up arrow to bring the flight plan down the page. Okay. If you're struggling with it, just think of it as reversed, and then you'll get your head around it pretty quickly. So here's LFMN, click on it. We want to do the arrival, and remember we said we're landing on the ILS approach, instrument landing system, the easiest approach, 04 left, on the Alba 7 Romeo, this one. So, like we saw on the world map, we now click insert again, and that's most of our route inserted. This is where we have a choice. On the world map, we said that we have these waypoints that link the departure and the arrival together. If you want, this is when you would type them in. We're not going to do that today. If you want to type them in, how would you do it? Okay, so we'd scroll down. See, remember? Caught you out there. Doesn't work, does it? We need to click this one. So we need to go from K-Bear to our next waypoint. So we click on K-Bear, and our next waypoint after K-Bear would have been PTC, and you would put that in here and it would put it in. Then you would click on PTC, next waypoint, etc, 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 until you got to your arrival. So we don't want PTC anymore, so how do we delete it? So we click the clear button, but you can see it only clears one letter at a time. So we must click it once, twice, 3 times, and now it's gone. And we click return to go back to our flight plan page, or you can just click on flight plan again and it will bring you back to this page as well. So we can see we have K-Bear, Kebri, I'm probably saying this wrong, but we have this waypoint and we're going to Ablak. So we want to clear this discontinuity. What is a discontinuity and how do we clear it? Well, a discontinuity is the flight management computer saying, I can see you've got this waypoint in here and you've got this waypoint in here, but you've not told me how to connect them together. I have no idea how to do this. So we need to say, it's okay, we want you to go direct from here to there. And what we want to do is we click clear. So we have clear in here and we clear the discontinuity. So now it goes, oh, okay, so you just want to go from there to there. That's fine. And it links them all up. So now the whole route is linked together. Nearly there. We're nearly finished. One more thing we need to do, which is takeoff performance. Okay. On the tablet, we have a complex takeoff performance calculator, and that is covered in the videos that are also available. But we're going to use some simple rules to try and get up for our quick flight. When we weigh around about 110, 120 tons like we do today, speeds of 145, 145 and 150. Now remember, if I type this in, it won't do anything. I have to set this up here, so we'll do that now. That will keep you safe in a lot of situations. So let's stick to those rules for now. If you want to know any more about takeoff performance, please check out the other videos where we go through how to do it for your specific runway, but these will keep us safe. And that is the flight management computer completely set up now. Okay, so now we're looking at the tablet, the electronic flight bag that we use on the A310. Now, if you want to change fuel and payload, it must be done via the tablet. If, for example, we use the in-sim fuel and payload system, this will not work on the A310. It is overridden, as this is a true-to-life airliner. We have a custom fuel system and custom payload system. So you must use the tablet. So let's do that now. So, first of all, we go to the symbol of the scales, and we can see the mass and balance page. We're going to leave the passengers and cargo, but this is where you would adjust them, and we're going to set roughly 20 tons of fuel. So 20 tons, click apply, and that's it. 20 tons of fuel is now loaded into the aircraft. If we want to set 10, 20, 30, 40, all the way up to 60 tons, that's done via this slider. Now, if you want a more detailed explanation of how to load and use the extra features in the tablet, that is available on the New to Airliners 2-part series. Now, you might ask yourself, well, how much is enough fuel? Well, here's a very good rough rule. If you want to fly for an hour, it's about 10 tons. If you want to fly for 2 hours, it's about 20 tons, 3 hours, 30, 4 hours, 40, and so on. The aircraft can take up to 60 tons of fuel, so that will comfortably give you enough fuel for 6 hours of flight. The aircraft can fly further than that, but like I say, that's quite a conservative estimate for your planning on these quick flights. So that was just a really quick overview. Let's get back to the rest of the video. So let's execute the before start checklist. Autocomplete. Done. Engine start procedure. So let's move the camera so we can have a look at what's going to happen with this now. So let's click autocomplete page. Can you see that it pauses? Now, when the system pauses, it's because it can't just start the engine. It must actually start the engine properly. So it's waiting for this number to get above 20% and the fuel will automatically go in. We don't need to do anything. We can just watch it do its thing. But we do have to wait for it to do its thing, if that makes sense. You can't just magically turn the engines on. So that's what's happening right now. So we'll join you when this checklist has completed. Okay, both engines have successfully started now. So let's move on to the after start procedure. So we're going to auto-complete that. We can see the flaps have been set, everything else has been set. After start checklist. So let's auto-complete that as well. Taxi out procedure. Before we execute the taxi out procedure, let's change one item because it's going to make our life a bit more simple. So let's have a look here. So this altitude is the altitude that we want to level off at. So what we're going to do is we're going to set our final altitude, which if you remember we typed in was 36,000. We typed this in as 360. So this is 36,000. And we're going to put that in before we click autocomplete on this checklist. The reason we do that is this mode is now armed without getting disarmed, etc, etc. So don't worry about it, just follow what I've done. So before takeoff checklist, let's autocomplete lineup procedure. So everything is now ready for the aircraft. All we have to do is taxi the aircraft out to the runway and take off. So you're going to join me as we're lined up on the runway, ready to go. Okay, here we are, lined up on the runway. So now we can do the lineup procedure. All set and done. Takeoff procedure. Now this is where we're going to pause from using the autocomplete page. Okay, if we click this button now, it's automatically going to set the thrust and all this sort of stuff. This is more of a what do you do when you take off. Okay, we don't actually have to use the autocomplete function now. So all we're going to do is minimize this, talk about it for a second. So all we need to make sure that we do for takeoff is we release the parking brake, and we can see that that's off when we don't have the message written here, and we click this button here, the toga button, the takeoff go around button. So we press it, and there we go. And now the power will be set automatically, and it's going to be full power for takeoff, and we can just monitor that. So there comes the power, and remember we set it 145, so that's roughly around where these white marks are. We pull back, that's all we're doing. Okay, so let's do that now, just keeping ourselves straight down the runway. There's 140, 45, we pull back on the stick, get into the air. I'm going to follow the flight director now as well. Put the autopilot in, positive rate, gear up. And now we're on our way. It was as simple and as quick as that. So let's bring out the checklist. Remember, we're going to skip the takeoff procedure. After takeoff procedure, we're going to autocomplete. After takeoff checklist, we're going to autocomplete. 10,000 foot procedure, we're going to wait until we get there. Now you can also see the aircraft is automatically retracting the flaps for us because we've done the procedure, and it will actually wait until it's above the correct speed to do the flaps. Pretty cool, to be perfectly honest. Okay, so we're above 10,000 feet now, and we're going to auto-complete this. So all done as well. Next one we're going to expect is the top of climb procedure. Okay, so here we are at top of climb. As we said, we're just simply going to auto-complete these. They don't really do anything. So auto-complete this, auto-complete descent preparation, and the next one is the descent procedure. And we recommend that you jump back to the new to airliner series, watch it from the top of climb section for the approach and how to land the aircraft. So let's continue the video. Okay, here we are on stand 1-8. You can see the aircraft is completely shut down, as we would expect. So how can we use these panel states that I talked about? Well, they're located in the tablet. Let's take a look. Okay, so on the tablet here, we can access the panel states via the bottom here, or we can go here, and they also come as drop downs. Exactly the same function, but we're going to use the one on the main menu as it's easier to get to. So we have cold and dark, on GPU, on APU, ready for takeoff. Now what do each one of these do? Well, let's activate cold and dark. It does nothing because we are already cold and dark. The aircraft's already shut down with no power on, so that's not going to do anything. on GPU. Let's try that. So we can hear quite a few things have changed. Let's have a quick look around the aircraft. So what we have now is the aircraft's powered up. We've got some of the systems sorted, so the external power is connected and it's running the aircraft electrically, and that's it. It's kind of an intermediate start to getting yourself set up. Let's try the next one. Next one we have is on APU, fairly similar, apart from the auxiliary power unit, the small jet engine in the tail, is automatically started, and we have the air from that going through the aircraft. That's why we can hear the air conditioning turned on. And it can be quite useful if you just want to load in, boom, and then start setting up the flight management computer for a flight. But it's up to you. The final one, which is, to be perfectly honest, the most useful one, is ready for takeoff. So if we click ready for takeoff, what happens now is you hear various lights and switches are set as you would expect, ready for takeoff, just like we did when we loaded on the runway before, and both engines are doing a rapid quick start. So they're trying to start as quick as they can, and they're doing both at the same time. So you can see we've paused some of the code logic for it to be able to do this. Now, this is a super helpful one if you just want to load in somewhere, click ready for takeoff, program the flight management computer as we showed at the start of this video, and there you can go for a really quick flight if you want to. Always, of course, you can go back to cold and dark, and that will reset the aircraft back to nothing, and you can start again. That's just a very quick overview of what panel states are, how you use them, and how they can be useful for these type of quick start flights. That's really it for this video. We just wanted to highlight some of the ways that you can jump into the aircraft if you've been using some of the airliners that are already included with Microsoft Flight Simulator, and we hope that this helps, and please enjoy the rest of the videos in this series. Thanks very much.